What's up, and welcome back to another episode of the I AFYL Podcast. Wow, today, listen, we're going to get into something that I personally found myself in a situation that really would not lead me to the results I want in 2025, and so that's why we're going to talk about this. So we're going to talk about predicting the results, but I'm also going to talk about mostly how we wind up getting the results we don't want. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question. And you can answer this question and you can think about this question. When you look at the amount of time you spend on whatever, like if you just look at the last 24 hours, if you had to take the last 24 hours and then project where you would be at the end of 2025, where would you be? What would occur? You know, I had to look in the mirror this morning, and what I saw was results that I didn't want. I saw results that literally, if we was at the end of the year and I got there and I'm like, oh my goodness, how did I get here? I can think about what I did yesterday. And because I can think about what I did yesterday, I says, well, I don't want those results. I don't want to get the results that I don't want. I want to get the results that I do want. Guys, today in this episode, here's what we're going to tackle. We're going to tackle how to predict the results of 2025 and beyond. But we're also going to look at all the things that literally distract you from getting. And we're also going to look at how easy it is to predict the results that you want. So before we jump into all of that, be sure to like, subscribe, let somebody else know about this podcast. I know we come on here a few times a week. We don't come on as many days, but we are constantly putting out something new at least once or twice a week. Make sure you let somebody know where we're at on YouTube. So just so you know why this podcast was created, I'm going to share this quick message with you. Stick with me, and then we'll jump right in.
Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
All right. How do you account for your time? That message resonates, and it says, how do you account for your time? But let's look at what Solomon had to say in Ecclesiastes. He said something that really is going to lead us into what it is that we're talking about today and predicting the results of 2025 and beyond. And in Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 10, it says, whatever your hands find to do, do it with all your might. For in the realm of the dead, where you are going, there is neither working, nor planning, nor knowledge, nor wisdom. What is he talking about? He's talking about where you're going. So what Solomon's doing, he's already given us a prediction. He's given us a prediction that you are going somewhere and you're going to the realm of the dead. So now that's not what we're talking about, but I'm just going to start right there. We're going to the realm of the dead. So if we're going to the realm of the dead, he's saying there's something you got to do now. He says, do what you're supposed to do now, right? And do it with all your might. Do it hard. But here's the thing, you got to plan for it. You got to plan for it. Back in 2019, when I came under the teachings of Dr. Miles Monroe, just totally life-changing. And, I gleaned a few things from Dr. Miles away. And so here's what he said. He says the best way to predict the future is to invent it. So let's talk about inventing our future in 2025. What is it that you want to predict? And one of the things that I realized that when the stuff isn't written down, if we don't have a notebook here with all kinds of stuff in it, right? If we don't have it written down, if it's not written, so we can come back and look and see, well, what am I planning for? What is it that I want? If it's not written down, how in the world are we going to actually get the results that we want in 2025 and beyond? I would have to say it's almost impossible. And so when we're thinking about predicting our future, and then we invent it, right? You invent the future. How do you invent? How does one invent the future? Just make it up. Well, think about what you're already thinking about. Many of us have something that we're thinking about over and over and over. There's things that I think about. And when I think about yesterday, in my time, now, I've got some productivity in my day, but I know it was Sunday. It was already off on Saturday, right? So how many days you need off? Like, you don't need a lot of days off. It's like in the Word of God, it only shows you get one day off. So I should have done more, but here's the thing: I didn't. Why didn't I do it? All right. Here's why. Here's how I can look back and say, wow, I remember when I stopped watching football. And I actually I watched games. Like, I would watch the Super Bowl. Like, the Super Bowl is the only game I would watch the entirety of. I said, wow, I watched games. I was just kind of like dilly-dallying most of the day. I'm not saying that you can't do that and you shouldn't do it. But if you wanted to predict your future and you invented it, doesn't that mean you got to actually invent it? It says work with all your might, because you are going to die. And when you get to that, there'll be no planning. You won't be able to plan. So if we're thinking about predicting our future, all right, so check it. If we're thinking about predicting our future, what's the plan? My wife, she is a planner. And we were having some conversation just yesterday about planning, things we got to do. And I had to think about this morning, because sometimes when you plan, you can't allow yourself to get caught up in the stuff that you don't have in the plan yet. I'm saying it again. When you plan, you can't focus on what you don't have. You have to focus on what you can do. And it hit me way after the fact that we talked. Like, I was making a justification of something that really I shouldn't have been making. Sometimes when we're making a plan, we want to make a plan. We want to invent our future, because in essence, that's how you predict your results. You just invent it, right? You invent it, but then you create a plan. Now, here's one of the mistakes that many of us make, me included. We start making a plan, and then we start looking for all the things we don't have. Come on now. Can you agree? Are we looking for the things that we don't have? And as we look for the things that we don't have, then that's what you get. Come on now. See, if I'm inventing my future, what's more important? The future. But here's the thing. I'm not so focused on the future. I'm more focused on the present. One of the best definitions of faith I've ever heard explained was by Dr. Myron Golden. And here's how he took Hebrews 11:1, and he made it a little bit more clear for me. It says, now faith is where I stand on the things I expect, while I prove the things I cannot see. Let's break that down. First thing, when you're talking about faith, it's all in the now. So it's in the present. It's not in the future. It's not far off. It's not outside. It's literally right in the present. So in the present, when I think about faith, when I think about what it is that I'm expecting, whatever I'm expecting is below me, where I stand. So now faith is something hope for, substance. And this is just me trying to put together what he was explaining about this passage. Substance is just something below and something that you stand on. So when you think about the things that you're expecting, the things that you would like to do, then you got to stand on top of them. Man, whatever it is. Hey, I want to have a successful business. Well, stand on it. Stand on it and expect it. Now, here's the thing. Yes, you want the results. Now, here's part of the issue. We want the results. We long for the results. We long for the money. We long for the relationships. We long for, the body of our dream. We long for, oh yes, but here's the thing. Then that means that you have to actually do something. So while I'm expecting it, I have to prove it all at the same time. And as I'm proving it, meaning the proving is not, it's not just waiting for it. The proving is going for it, which means when you invent what it is that you would like to do and like to have, you automatically find the how. The how just shows up. It's interesting because when we're talking about, well, how do you do it? How do you do this? Well, how do you predict the results for 2025? Here's how you do it. You first invent it. You invent the results you would like to have. You invent where you would like to go. You invent what it is that you would like to accomplish. First thing, and here's how many of you have done this. Somebody was one day thinking, man, I want to be a doctor. And then they immediately found a way to do it. Oh, I got to go to undergrad. I got to get a BS, and then I got to get accepted in medical school. Now, here's the thing. Those are not everything you have to do, because to get into the college, you're probably going to have to take the SAT or the ACT. I may have to study. You got to get out of high school first, right? You got to get your diploma, right? So there's a path that literally takes you directly there. And then you got to get decent grades, right? And as you get decent grades, what's going to happen, right? You're going to automatically be putting yourself in position to become a doctor. What about an accountant? The same thing. I want to be an accountant. I would like to be a CPA. Man, it's going to require me to study for a test. Man, I heard the tests were really hard. I didn't even pay much attention to the fact that the test would be hard. I said, well, people pass the test, so apparently I can pass it. So I didn't try and compare myself to whether or not, man, I'm not good at standardized tests. It could have been true, but I said, you know what? I think I really expect that I'm going to get it. And how am I going to get it? I don't really know. I'm just going to go down the path. What did I do? I went and took the test first. You know what? I got out of college. I didn't take it the first year, but I took it I may have taken the second year, and I took it. I was like, oh, I didn't pass it. I just wanted to try it out. I had a little book, I had a little study guide, but it didn't work. Did I stop? I knew what my results were going to be. My results were CPA passed, license issued. I knew that was my results. Did I know when? I didn't know when. But here's the thing. I says, well, it was 1998. I finished in 95. I think I took the test in 97, 96 or 97. I can't remember. Didn't pass. Went back 98. I was like, okay. So how could I said, you know what? I heard of these types of tests, programs that you can go and they can basically just help you along. It's like a study program. I said, let me go find one of these study programs. I heard of this one. It was called the Becker Review. My wife had taken that one. She said, I didn't really like the test. I said, well, I'm not going to do Becker. Let me find a different one. So I found I found a small business. I found something that most people didn't know about. A guy, teaching people how to pass the CPA exam. And I called him up one day. I found him on Google back then. That's 1998. Found him on Google. Hey, man, I want to pass the CPA exam. Well, look, if you come, he made a bold statement. He says, if you come to my class and you do what I tell you, you will pass. I said, stop it. See what happened? I knew what my results were going to be, but then I aligned myself with someone who also knew the result. They knew what the result was. They says, look, if you do, this is the part. Look, the way that God has, especially in Proverbs, if you go read Proverbs, there's a lot of if you do this, then you get this. And this is what he said. He says, if you come to my class, if you do what I tell you to do, you will pass the exam. And I said, that was bold. I said, I'm coming. I found the money, which I just went to my boss at the time. I said, hey, Charlotte, would the company pay for that? She says, absolutely. How much is it? Like $2,000? No problem. Got a check, paid for it. I was like, wow, this was amazing. Now I'm excited because one person told me I would pass the test. Here's the thing. I had already invented the future. I had already invented the result. Now, but then I found somebody else who was willing to tell me exactly. They confirmed it in me. They confirmed that I could do it, and they didn't know me. The guy didn't know me from Adam. He did, listen, this was over the phone. He didn't look at me and say, "Oh, you have a different color. You're not gonna." Over the phone, sight unseen, you will pass if. Same with the results for 2025. You will get those results if. Now, you know I passed the test, right? Now, but let me finish the story here, because a lot of people quit when the adversity comes, when they don't get the results at the time they wanted the results. So I get into this class, basically, I think ended like December through April 1999. Mind you, me and my wife were getting married in September 1999, so there were some distractions happening. She was more distracted than me, to be honest, and because she did a lot of the work with the planning. So we get to the end, and I just remember being excited about taking this test. I go take the test, and I was like, man, I felt good about the test, but you don't know if you just don't know. Results come in July. I opened it up. Pass. There's 4 parts. Pass. Pass. Fail. Fail. The 2 sections I didn't pass. One I missed by 1 point, and the other I missed by 3. 4 points kept me from the result I wanted. But you know what? Now I was down. Whoever, was going for something, you knew you could do it. And, remember, this wasn't my first time failing. And then you failed multiple times. Do you quit? Do you just say, you know what, this isn't for me? Maybe I'm just not cut out for it. So I had some time to think, because the next test was coming around. I'm talking about the CPA exam when I passed it. The next test was coming up November of 1999. Me and my wife got married in September. I didn't have time to do any studying. I called the guy. I said, man, I passed 2 parts, man, but I missed these 2 parts. He says, you're going to pass when? He says, if you come to this, what did he call it? The intensive class the weekend before the test, you will pass. Here he is, did another bold claim. I said, you know what? I think he, even though I didn't pass that second one, I found reasons why I didn't pass it. I said, it's okay. It wasn't his fault. It was my fault. I said, you know what? So he's right. He's right. I just missed a couple things. Let me go take it. Let me go do the intensive. I go do the intensive. Rest is history. I passed it. Like those 2 sections, I blew them out. I was just like, wow. How long did it take me to get to the results? Now I did have to go. I decided I'd be a CPA August of 1988. Literally August of 1988. It was just before I started my senior year in high school. August of 1988, I said that I would do that. I was predicting a result that I would have at some point. Didn't know when. But I knew I had to go to school in order to get there. So I finished college in 1995. I finished college August of 1995. Wow, look at these Augusts. August of 1995 to then later get my CPA, or at least pass the test. What's that, 1999? November 1999. So let's just look back. You want to predict the results for 2025. It all comes down to a couple of things, right? Stop thinking and make a plan. That's the first thing. Stop thinking. This resonates with me because I'm a thinker. Like I think all the time. But here's the thing. Thinking is good because you need your thoughts, but you still got to make the plan out of the thoughts. If we don't make a plan out of the thoughts, then we can't get there. So stop thinking and make a plan. So it's kind of like what thinking does is thinking is kind of like the inception. It's when you're bringing it to life, you're conceiving it. But here's the thing: if you believe something, start planning to get there. Man, I've got to be honest. I have messed up. I've not done enough planning for the things that God said that He wanted me to do or wants me to do. I have not done enough planning for Him to then go beyond what I can imagine. You know, God, the creator of this universe, He already knows the beginning and the end. What does it say in Jeremiah 29:11? I'm going to read it. In Jeremiah 29:11, it says, I know it, but I want to read it. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. The results that you want to predict, God has already done it. He already saw it. He already knows it. He's already planned for it. He's actually planned a specific way for you to get there. Now, what's happening is for many of us, we take wrong turns because, you know what, I think I should go this way. You know, just recently, I was in the midst of making a decision. You know, it was one of these decisions that it seemed like the decision I made was the one I should make. But right before I made the decision, something said, man, don't do it. Do you realize that when you feel your intuition, right? You want to predict your results. Your intuition will tell you. Your intuition will say, hey, look, don't do that. Do this. Your intuition will give you the answer to the problem. Your intuition will give you the answer or give you the solution. But what's happened to many of us is that we just, we're not in tune with our intuition to the point where we don't allow it to run our life. That's what intuition does. So when you predict the results you're going to have in 25, your intuition is going to be your guiding force. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. So wait a second. The Lord, God, the creator of this universe, has already declared the results in your life. He's already declared it. And if He already declared the results and He says, the plan is for you to prosper. What? The plan is for you to have hope and an amazing future. I just added amazing. An amazing future. Not a basic future, but an amazing future. Is it worth using your time, or as much as your time as possible, discovering the plan or how to get there? It's worth it. Today, as we look at we're at the 27th day of January. We got a few days left. So maybe this month hasn't been the best month that you would have wanted to be like January. There's still 11 months. You can make the plans now. And by making the plans now, you can predict what future you're going to have in 2025. I'm going to leave you with the last quote from Dr. Miles Monroe. And here's what he said. He says, if you don't design your life, somebody else will. So go design what it is that you would like to have, do, and just accomplish in 2025 and beyond, or else somebody else will. Don't get caught up in political stuff. Don't get caught up in like literally, I was caught up, but no more. The results that I know that I'm going to have this year has to have my undivided attention. And I'm going to predict, I'm going to make a bold claim of my own future. What about you? Make the prediction. Listen, allow the creative universe to just run your whole life. Allow the creator to come over you, so that the decision that you make lead you directly to the destiny that he has for you. When he said, I have plans for you, and the plans are for you to prosper, not to harm you, for you to have hope, and for you to have a future. So guys, I want to thank you for joining me for another episode of the Account for Life podcast. This is Jay Moore, the Healthy Accountant, helping you to account for life. Be sure to subscribe wherever it is you're watching this podcast. Let somebody else know. Share it with your friends, your cohorts, your colleagues, those that are looking to predict the results in their life for 2025. And we'll continue this message every day or as many days as possible. God bless you, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.